Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, American Patriots, and thank you for joining me for this special live report tonight on what I personally believe is the most important breaking news in American history, going back to our inception. This is being reported by every news organization in America and across planet Earth right now, with the exception of CNN, MSNBC, and the liberal news. Go figure. They're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to start covering it, and covering it ASAP, because you can't get away from this. What I have been saying all along for years now is factually unfolding in front of our eyes. And that is that the Russia collusion was all a hoax and it was made up. I just didn't know how deep it went. What we did know is that it was the Steele dossier was paid for and bought by Hillary Clinton. And we do know that those involved in the CIA and the FBI knew that it was fake, and nobody was held accountable. But what we're finding out today is this goes way deeper than what we already knew. The Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence to create the narrative that Russia was attempting to influence the 2016 presidential election, despite information from the intelligence community stating otherwise. Just a few hours ago, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents revealing overwhelming evidence that demonstrates how, after President Donald Trump won the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton, then President Barack Obama and his national security team laid the groundwork for what would be the years-long Trump-Russia collusion probe. These documents revealed that in the months leading up to the November 2016 election, the intelligence community consistently assessed that Russia was probably not trying to influence the election by using cyber means. One incident was on December 7th, 2016, weeks after the election. Then Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, talking points stated, foreign advisories did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. That was what was pushed by Hillary Clinton after she lost. A declassified copy of the Presidential Daily Briefing, which was prepared by the Department of Homeland Security with reporting from the CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, FBI, National Security Agency, Department of Homeland Security, State Department, Hillary Clinton, who was now presidential candidate for Obama, dated December 8, 2016. We assess that Russia and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. The Presidential Daily Briefing stated Russian government affiliated actors most likely compromised an Illinois voter registration database, but unsuccessfully attempted the same in all the other states in America. But the brief stated that it was highly unlikely the effort would have resulted in altering any state's official vote results, even if it had been in the other states. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale of sophistication necessary to change the election outcome, it stated. So then what happens? The brief noted that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence assessed that any Russian activity probably were intended to cause only psychological effects, such as undermining the credibility of the election process and candidates. The brief stated that cyber criminals tried to steal data and to interrupt the election process by targeting election infrastructure, but these actions did not achieve a notable disruptive effect. In the declassified documents, communication from the FBI on the Presidential Daily Briefing stated it should not go forward until the FBI had shared its concerns. Those communications revealed that the FBI was now drafting a dissent to the original Presidential Daily Briefing. The communications revealed that the brief was expected to be published December 9th, 2016, the following day. But later, communications revealed that Office of the Director of National Intelligence, based on some new guidance from someone, decided to push back publication of the Presidential Daily Brief. It will not run tomorrow, and it is not likely to run until next week, wrote the director deputy director of the Presidential Daily Brief at Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The following day, December 9th, 2016, Barack Obama, the President of the United States, and Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States, held a meeting, and they brought in everybody concerned into the White House Situation Room. The subject of the meeting was summary and conclusion for PC meeting on a sensitive topic. The meeting included President Obama, the Vice President Joe Biden, the National Security Council official James Clapper, the CIA Director John Burnham, then National Security Advisor Susan Rice, then Secretary of State, who has taken the place of Clinton because now she's running for president, John Kerry, then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, the Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, and the FBI Director James Comey. The declassified meeting records revealed that principals agreed to recommend sanctions on certain members of the Russian military intelligence and foreign intelligence chains of command responsible for cyber operations as a result of cyber activity that attempted to influence or interfere with U.S. elections, if such activity meets the requirements from an executive order that demand the blocking of property belonging to people engaged in cyber activity. After the meeting, according to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper's executive assistant emailed intelligence community leaders tasking them to create a new intelligence community assessment per President Obama's request that detailed the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election. ODNI will lead the effort with participation from the CIA, the FBI, the National Security Association, the NSA, and the Department of Homeland Security, the records state. Later, Obama had his officials leak false statements to the media claiming that Russia has attempted through cyber means to interfere in, if not actively influence, the outcome of the election. By January 6, 2017, a new intelligence community assessment was released that, according to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, directly contradicted the IC assessment that was made throughout the previous 6 months. Basically, they made up their own narrative because they didn't like what they were told. So we're not going to let Trump off the hook. We're going to keep pushing this Russia hoax BS. Intelligence officials said that the ICA was politicized because it suppressed intelligence from before and after the election, showing Russia lacked intent and capability to hack the 2016 election that Hillary Clinton kept telling you happened. Officials also said it deceived the American public by claiming the intelligence community made no assessment of the impact of Russia's activity, when the intelligence community did, in fact, assess its impact. The unpublished December PDB stated clearly that Russia did not impact the election through cyber hacks on the election. An official has now said in the briefings and the paperwork and the emails prove. Russia was responsible for leaking data from the DNC and DCC, but while failing to mention that FBI and NSA previously expressed low confidence in this attribution. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence officials said today that they have been investigating this matter for months now. It probably started on day one of President Trump becoming president. They also said that the new assessment was based on information that was known by those individuals to be manufactured, i.e., the Steele dossier, or deemed as not credible. Officials said that the intelligence was politicized and then used as the basis for countless smears to delegitimize President Trump's victory, the years-long Mueller investigation, 2 congressional impeachments, high-level officials being investigated, some arrested, and some actually put in jail. Galbert told the news media today that this is not a partisan issue, but one that concerns or should concern every American citizen. The information we are releasing today clearly shows what was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government. Their goal was to subvert the will of the American people and enact what was essentially a years-long coup with the objective of trying to unseat the president from fulfilling the mandate bestowed upon him by the American people. Galbert said the outrageous abuse of power and blatant rejection of our Constitution by President Obama and his administration threatens the very foundation and integrity of our democracy and our republic. No matter how powerful, every person involved in this conspiracy must be investigated and prosecuted to the full extent of the law to ensure nothing like this ever happens again, Tulsi said. The American people's faith and trust in our republic, and therefore the future of our nation, depends on it. Galbert added, as such, I'm providing all of these documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the people deserve. The declassification of records and release by Galbert and the Office of Director of National Intelligence comes after it was reported just 2 days ago that former CIA Director Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey are under criminal investigation for activities related to the original Trump-Russia probe. I did not talk about this last night in my show because I didn't have the facts yet. All I knew was what they were saying, leaked information that the investigation was happening. I didn't have a clue how damning this was and how deep it was. The criminal referral for Burnham came from CIA Director John Ratcliffe after he declassified records revealing what Burnham did. In fact, push for the discredited anti-Trump dossier to be included in the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, despite the CIA's consensus that it was filled with internet rumors. That dossier ultimately served as the basis for the Trump-Russia probe inside the FBI and for Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, warrants against former Trump campaign aide Carter Page. Ratcliffe sent the criminal referral to Burnham to FBI Director Kash Patel, who then opened the criminal investigation into Burnham and Comey. Reacting to the news of the investigation, Donald Trump said he thinks They're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, Trump said. And maybe they have to pay a price for that. Trump added, I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people. So whatever happens, happens. That was Donald Trump literally about 45 minutes ago. So what needs to happen? The following people need to be arrested now. Not later, now. Obama's Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. His CIA Director, John Burnham. His National Security Advisor, Susan Rice. His Secretary of State, John Kerry. His Attorney General, Loretta Lynch. His Deputy FBI Director, Andrew McCabe. His FBI Director, James Comey. His Secretary of State / presidential candidate who stepped down the run against Trump, Hillary Clinton, who bought and paid for the dossier. His Vice President, Joe Biden, and the former president himself, Barack Hussein Obama, charged them with treason against America, because that's exactly what they did. Everything that we have been saying about the Steele dossier, about the Russia collusion, about the impeachment trials was 100% true. And we were called conspiracy theorists, we were called liars, and the list goes on and on and on of all the horrible things that the left said about people like me, about those on Fox News, on any conservative podcast. We were all a bunch of idiots. No, we weren't. We were 100% spot on correct. But God, I did not know how deep this went, and that all these people committed treason, and they need to be charged now. Now it is up to our Department of Justice and our FBI to get off their ass and do what they were sent to Washington, D.C. to do, and that is to correct this two-tier justice system that we have watched unfold over the past several years, and hold people accountable for their actions. We, the people, paid billions of our dollars, our tax money, for what the House and Senate Democrats did to Donald J. Trump, what the FBI did to him, what the CIA did to him, what the Department of Homeland Security did to him. And it is time they be charged. And I do believe, unless Trump decides to give them a pass, like he did Hillary Clinton when he got elected in 2016, then there's going to be some people sweating their ass off tonight, wondering when the knock's coming on their door. And it needs to happen ASAP as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much for tuning in to this breaking news. Again, what a crying shame that the most important breaking news, the most important thing to happen in American history, is not being covered tonight by CNN and MSNBC and all the liberal left-wing news media that pushed this Russia collusion bullshit for all those years. Well, they're not going to have a choice, because there's some people about to be in handcuffs. Thank you. God bless you. May God bless the men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. And thank God for Donald J. Trump and his administration to come in and clean up what we, the people, have been asking for a long time, and that is the two-tier justice system. Good night, my friends, and have a wonderful and blessed weekend.